Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Fallout 3. So, I watched a YouTube video showing me where the items are that I missed as far as trying to get the remaining item. See, Raider Commando Armor, we can combine that. And we can combine that. And that can give me enough room to go back and see if we can get these steel mill stuff. Although it's very questionable whether I would be able to get the ingots at all. There is a mod that the video. Why am I crippled? Interesting. That would make um, the ingots glow radioactive wise. That would maybe make some sense. Certainly, as far as this goes. How many steel ingots do we have, by the way? I think we probably had exactly 90. And so there's definitely a danger in potentially trying to run back this way. And we may very well just put the story forward enough that I can't go and look for more steel mill things, even if I wanted to. Alright, there's only 3 in here. And we had already found all of them. Although there is that danger, certainly, that I missed a couple. So, in a funny way, you may just have to run through everything twice. And there we have a robot getting shot up in the air. Alright. So, one way you reach this is you jump up from there. And I don't know why I'm picking up junk. Right. Alright, so supposed to jump from like over here to here. And it is very possible that I've just straight up missed something. And that there is one steel ingot in one of these places that I overlooked.
Scanning for hostiles.
On top of a couple of them I know I just have missed. Like over here, did we find the steel ingots in this? Seems like that, yes. But we didn't find that you could go from here to the rooftop here. And let's see, is there a way to cross over? No, just jump. So that's 2 there. And this is 3 here. So that's 5 of the 10 that need to be found. There aren't too many there, but if I'm missing like exactly 1, I would suspect it might be in the steel mill. And see, the problem here is that while there's a YouTube video that shows other people doing this, there isn't really a map and there isn't really a radar. I really don't know what the Pitt underground and acquiring the key is all about. So it is very plausible that there's, instead of there being
Scanning.
one pile of 5 or 2 piles of 2 and 3, that there are actually 3 piles of 2 or even 4 piles in general that I just missed. Yeah, anything and everything is totally believable. Right, there are 2 more, so there should just be a pile of 3 here. And where is that pile of 3? Would be the question. And see, the YouTuber that made the video also had either a mod that had just killed everybody in the area, so you don't have to deal with the trogs. I'm also going to struggle, certainly, to hold on to the items, because I barely have enough space, and unless we can find some kind of storage container, then yeah, you just I won't have any kind of like safe place to put the items I have, so I've got to carry everything I've got. It's not like it's even that sneaky, it's just that there was a couple places that I didn't look, where there's a lot of places. You almost wish that this was such a commonplace event that you would have these hidden. Seriously. Talk about doing a bad job. How many do we have then? We are missing 1. 1 steel ingot is now missing, and the only place where there could just be 1 steel ingot individually without assuming that I made a mistake is in the supply area over there. Alright. So we're going to try and jump down here. And this is a new load, by the way, so the visuals popping in and popping out is a consistent problem. If the steel ingot is not where I think it is, then we are going to have to potentially search every single location again, because it could be anywhere. It's could be inside this, just in some angle that I didn't see. Just keep an eye out as much as possible. And I'm really looking in places that I actually know don't have steel ingots. So I'm being paranoid. Frankly, looking for the last couple of steel ingots. And I'm really just doing this for a unique power armor suit because, yeah, you're not going to get the achievement or trophy on the Steam Game of the Year version of the game. Alright. So the thought here... Interesting, why is the door reset? Why would anything be reset? Whatever. We'll just run through this whole area. There's a couple of them, I think, right here. What would be really funny is if it turned out that it reset all of the steel ingots, and I actually would have to go back and collect them all again. And you could just play the section of the game over and over again. Of course, there's just not enough here to justify doing that. It's silly. We've put so much time into this game already. Going back and redoing things is not really a valid thought. See, even if there was a steel ingot in there, I don't know if I would be able to pick it up. I've taken a couple of, maybe a day and a half break since last time I played Fallout 3, and I'm just getting pretty lackadaisical about getting back to it and playing more of it. But yeah, here we're back to the grind. Yeah, there's no point in getting scrap metal. And then way down, we'll just check in each of these, even though we kind of know it's not there. Way down here. There would have been a couple of steel ingots here, but we already collected them. What it suspects, it looks like here, is that they drove a bunch of humans slash trogs chasing down that direction. What we don't see here is skeletons that would imply that a bunch of humans had been killed before the bombs dropped and everything changed. Unless trogs existed during the past also, which that would be hard to believe. Again, there was a bunch of steel ingots here. Fingers crossed I missed one right on top of this. And I didn't. Darn it. Which means there is one steel ingot out around the steel yard that I just straight up missed. I don't think there's anything I can really do other than try and find it. Alright, so that puts us back to this. could be a lot of different places. We should probably go low before we go high. Because the higher up we have to go, the longer that travel. It could be in this trash canister, certainly. It could be over here in the irradiated parts. This might very well be just another case of the game making it more difficult on you by having 5 things in one place instead of having just like one bundle or one pile. I think this steel ingots would have been right there and we would have gotten them all by the looks of it. But I should be very careful just to make sure I look everywhere. Well, that did not go well. Okay. We did see or hear that the bloody red handprints tend to be where a steel ingot is. But I think there was like steel ingots here, and I don't really see any bloody red handprints. So I kind of don't know what they're talking about in that case. And there was steel ingots here, and I don't really see any bloody red handprints. So, yeah. I don't feel like that is accurate. There's some blood. So maybe just anywhere somewhat close to blood might be an indication of where steel ingot is. Up higher we go. Just looking. With any luck, we won't have to get all the way to the top of this, but it is totally believable and possible that we will have to go all the way to the top just to be shown that it's not actually there. And this certainly could be really, really annoying because I may still not be able to find that last ingot. Maybe it was bloody corpses where steel ingots tend to be. That might be the case. Just walk around here. Every angle, every possibility. Since I'm only missing one, you kind of know that It has to have been one that I just visually missed. And this would have been solved easily if there was 110 collectibles, and after you collected 100, the game just forced you to stop playing and said you found them all, or disappeared the other ones. That would work fairly well. Also, that's a way more modern games certainly can, and I think sometimes do, cheat. Or if there hasn't been a game yet to implement a system like that, it clearly is a system that should be implemented. So many times I've played these kinds of collectathon games and wasted a lot of time just being obsessive about it and trying to collect everything. Let's see, just make sure we see every platform here. This is the most vertical level we've ever seen in Fallout, where you're just going up higher and higher. And that's something different. I don't know if it's particularly something great, but it's different. And what I saw a person do when he was speedrunning was he took this, went this way, and jumped down here, and that basically let him jump down through here, although he did it a little bit differently. And then that let him run this way to get the ingots that were over here. And then for some reason, he ran all the way back up here. Probably because it was just quicker. I really had to question some of the videos I saw as to just his pathing, because it did seem fairly weird. He was going backwards and forwards, and he walked back up here. I think to kind of jump down here. I don't think it was to jump into the pit. And I really question if you could get over there. Yeah. He did a bunch of jumps like that. And then he did a bunch of more jumps like this to, I think, get down to that spot in particular. Probably trying to avoid fall damage. And then he went around. Interesting. Went around like that. And I don't know if he actually walked down this way, but doesn't really seem like there's anything here. Yeah, I don't think he walked this way. I think he just went around for some reason to then be able to drop down this way, which there's not really any difference between dropping down there and here as far as I can tell. Sure would be nice if by default these were irradiated glowing ingots. That would certainly make for easier visuals. And then at the end of these, there were steel ingots here. I got those. And yeah, back with the pathing, he came up to this area in a different way via jumping from that in here. I think there were steel ingots here. Okay. So I suspect maybe the ingot's in this trash can, since we've exhausted practically every other option. Unless there was just like an ingot. Yeah, unless there was just an ingot sitting around somewhere else. I've kind of been everywhere. There was some here. It is possible one just clipped through the ground too. I may have to end up giving up. Yeah, but with the exception of the ones on top of the train, really shouldn't be any other place. Yeah, I just watched the video. I just looked everywhere. I think an ingot fell through the ground. If not, it's somehow in the abandoned area, and I missed the abandoned area. Like I'm completely, I've been all over this map. Yeah, you would expect what would have happened is that the game would have said, after you collected 10 ingots, that you've developed a detection for your Pip-Boy to show you where the rest of the ingots are in the general location. Or there would be like a beeping sound or something. Just any new gameplay mechanic or system that would synergize with that idea and make it more reasonable. I don't believe that there's an ingot just in between the trains.
Move along, please.
I don't think that there's an individual ingot like way low here. Hmm. Hmm. I've just been kind of everywhere. Hmm. Hmm. Looking all along this. It would have to be that I just missed one. And if it is believable that I missed one, like maybe that pipe, I missed one there. It's equally believable that it glitched through the ground. Let's just make sure we actually don't already have 10 steel ingots. Yeah, and it's a whole new fresh day with fresh eyes. So it would be really no good excuse for me to be overlooking something obvious. And this can't help but feel like a huge waste of time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to walk all the way around up again. Interesting, I just landed on barbed wire and it didn't hurt me. Just gonna weave through all of this just to make sure. I think this also highlights the problem of having 100 of anything. It's too easy to miss something. Yeah, far too easy to be at that 99% completion where it stops becoming fun and it just starts becoming frustrating. Again, a pile of blood. But even the glowing piles of blood, it's not like you can get a top view and see a bunch of piles of blood. I don't think there's another place to even look. Like, I just think I've been everywhere and looked at every location now at least once. I don't think there was anything around this building or that building. Or some steel ingots, I think, right on top of that at some point. I don't think you can jump from here to there. Alright, well, I guess you can. Doesn't seem like that's gonna help you any. It's not steel ingot, is it? Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to give up, I think. I could use some Atrog brute, but that's not a bunch of blood. Well, that was another 40 minutes of wasted time, certainly, in a game where it's very easy to waste your time. There's either an ingot stuck in the ground, or there's one or two places specifically that I am stupidly just overlooking over and over again. Like, we've been in this trash cans enough times, I think, to know we've gotten all the ingots there. And it certainly would be ironic if the steel ingot is actually on top of that. That would be the next thing, is to start dragging bodies and see if perhaps a body just did fall on top of a steel ingot. And there's only 3 here. They're all inside this barrel. That's the only 3 steel ingots in this area. And we've just been everywhere else, so yeah. We'll talk to the guy as if maybe we can do something.
Woo! Saw you fighting in the hole. What a piece of work. Now I know why you ain't afraid of those drugs. No hard feelings, huh? Understood, champ? But if you want to keep collecting ingots, I still got plenty of gear stashed away. You bring me ingots, I'll make sure you get rewarded. Can't be more fair than that. Looks good. Nope. Go grab a few more, and I'll see what I can spare for my star scavenger.
So we were exactly at 90. So then the real question here would be, what's in here? And what's in here? So you can't get the custom armor. Man, that's just so incredibly frustrating. Like, really, really incredibly frustrating. Let me just look at the map here and think about it. Is there possibly somewhere we haven't been? No. Yeah, all indication would be it glitched through the ground, either here or in the steel mill. Because there isn't a pile that would just be one steel ingot. We go back to the supply point. This door is open now. Here. There's some trogs, and here's some bloody things. I almost wonder, you have a whole like baseball field here. Wonder if you're supposed to run the bases. Yeah. So you hit one here, you hit the base here, you hit the base here, you hit the base here, and then you hit the base here. But that wouldn't do anything. I know it wouldn't do anything. I literally just watched someone speedrun through this and find all the ingots. Just making sure the last ingot isn't here. This would be the third time that we would have run through this whole area. But maybe if we go backwards, we'll find that we've missed something visually. Maybe if we move bodies around. Like in particular, these bodies were piled up fairly high. Now, I imagine somebody is probably watching this video and they have seen it and they can get either this video or the last video and they totally have seen it. They totally know where it is and I just walked right by it. Just make sure we search everywhere. Can't fall down these edges. You know, it would possibly make more sense if there was an ingot in this barrel, because there was that grenade that fell down and exploded things. Maybe that would have moved the ingots around. Yeah, this tripwire. I guess that's what I stepped over to activate that. Didn't realize it. Really wouldn't make a lot of sense though that a steel ingot would be next to a tripwire bomb if a tripwire bomb could move it. But I guess suffice it to say, nothing makes sense at this point. We've got glitchy weapons and we've got probably glitchy steel ingots. What was that sound effect? Hitting all these like chain sound effects. Seriously? I can activate this terminal? Oh, I can activate this terminal. Feel like there might have been some steel ingots there. I think this is probably a great example of why I don't have any real desire to play hidden object games anymore either. Once things turn into a pixel hunt, it stops becoming fun.
Move along, please.
Have we been over here and looked at this? Like that whole right side of the map is kind of separated out from the rest of the map. And then this whole lower section here is kind of separated out from the next highest section. Once you get up to this point, yeah, you can't get over there. I don't think you can probably get over there at all. There's no steel bars, steel ingots on any of these other cross platforms. There's no steel ingots on the top of these trains. There's definitely concepts here that make it feel like there could have been a larger level where you were just in a train yard and you were running along the tops of trains. I'm just gonna try and grab all of this and get it out of the way. Because I do think there may have been some steel ingots here. Well, that doesn't seem like that's gonna blow up. Yeah, and I am just at the peak of desperation here. Absolute peak of desperation. If things fell through things, where would they have ended up? I think that's kind of the problem, though, is that it's not like they would have ended up anywhere. They would have just been right clipped through the ground. It really can't be a case that there's one steel ingot somewhere, though. Like, every pile of steel ingots we've ever found has been at least 2 steel ingots, with the exception of the one on the dresser in the supply area. And I just don't want to give up on this, and I really sucks, but I think I'm gonna have to give up on it. There's possibly some kind of console command I could look up and adjust this. Sure, but for the average player that isn't going to bother to go looking up a console command, and honestly the average player wouldn't have tried as hard as I have to find the final ingot. This is the disappointing experience that I have had just randomly. It is definitely not satisfactory. It does not feel fair. It does not feel fun. I had some fairly high accolades for the idea of resetting you down to being very, very weak and doing a hidden object search experience instead of just running and gunning. But at this point, I would be happy to take running and gunning back and just at least be secure in the fact that we haven't seen major glitches appear when running and gunning. And this is more of the instability of the Bethesda engine games, and that it saves the location of things for no good reason when it should just reset things. You cannot move the burning barrel that's used for lighting. Yep. If you could just reset the location of everything by leaving the place and then re-entering the field, that would be fine. Or even by sleeping, that would be fine. But neither are really options. And once I am just fully frustrated here, which is not going to be too long from now, I can just reload the autosave and leave the area. Is there a possible way we could jump on this? Well, oddly, it seems like you could. Okay. So you jump on this. That's a trog brute. And that's going to give you this angled thing that I suspect you can't go up. Yep, you can't go up that. So you can only use it so far. You'd think that this lighting here would point to something more than just this is the general direction. Suppose it would be funny to jump in the center of the steel mill. And again, we know that there was some ingots here. We got those. Is there something possibly on the ground back and around here that we missed? Doesn't seem like it. We're just going back up again. We've been up and down this path. So almost certainly I would have seen something. Unless there was something else to this, some other angle or direction that this went, instead of being just up and just down. I think for fun I do kind of want to jump into this pit. At the very least we can see what happens when we drop him into a pit. Right. Everything on this platform. I don't believe there were ever any still ingots here. I have to assume it was just glitched through the floor. I really do. It's unbelievable that I would have been to all these other locations, gotten to 99, and then missed the last one. Or that there is some last one somewhere. But if it is glitched through the floor, it's also really, really glitched through the floor. Do I want to go back that direction? I saw the person do is he kind of ran down this pipe a little bit longer before he jumped over to this section. And if this was glitched through the floor, it would be nowhere. This is so incredibly frustrating. Just trying to walk from different angles, different perspectives. There's not one under the stairs or anything like that. There's not one right at the edge here. We'll drag this guy out of the way. We can see we have the ammunition box here. just look all around here in this radiation zone. Our radiation level increasing doesn't really matter. Oh, there it is. It's been there, just kind of hidden, and I've just been overlooking it this whole time. Okay, that's incredibly, incredibly annoying, and it really, really highlights why I don't like to play those kinds of things. They get super bad when they get bad, and they're only mediocrely good when they're good. Meanwhile, in the main game, to get a special piece of armor, you only needed to go to 5 locations and get 5 pieces of a code, which is much more doable with assistance in a walkthrough. Whereas the walkthroughs here for finding 100 steel ingots is still not enough.
Mill always needs more metal. I'll just take those. Well, I'll be damned. That makes 100 ingots you found. And here I remember thinking you'd be lucky to bring back any at all. Ain't no question. You earned the treasure of my collection. This armor goes all the way back to when the Brotherhood tried to wipe out the Pitt. Some of the tribals who worshipped Asher made it to look like their god. Try it on, and you'll feel a little like a god yourself.
Let's ask this.
Yep. Guess you got every last one out there. You're one hell of a stealer, kid.
Pittsburgh Steelers are also the
Can't believe I'm saying this, but I think you
the
cleared
name
out
of
the
like the
place.
baseball
We'll get other
team.
workers to salvage metal from the buildings. You take a break. Keep bringing in metal. I'll keep getting you gear.
And so immediately we're over encumbered again because of that. And this tribal power armor has 15 action points, plus 5 melee, plus 1 luck, plus 1 strength, minus 1 agility. So that's pretty great. Of course, the problem now is, what do we drop? Because we've got just too much as far as weapons. Let's see. I think we're gonna have to get rid of a raider thing just because of the weight. Unless we can drop a bunch of weight here. I could save 5 pounds by just dropping Nuka-Colas. Alright, we'll get rid of commando armor too. So you've got this like power armor now, but it still doesn't really show. Like I don't have the mod that would be necessary to actually show how to get there. Or how to show the items that we're wearing. And we just may have this problem where maybe, just maybe we could, like I don't think we can leave now and put some of our equipment here. So we may just be over encumbered this whole time. It's like, Can we go to the gate to the pit?
Get out of my face.
So, yeah, unless there was some kind of item here, we are still stuck inside the pit. And so there's not really a place you can put things. I would assume your best bet, if you get really, really desperate and aren't going to just be encumbered, would be to either just drop it in this mailbox and hope you can walk past the mailbox later, or drop it in what's her name's,
Off to talk with Asher.
like Medea's.
Guess you earned your ticket out of downtown.
So we're now doing the thing we should have done an hour and 10 minutes ago, which is going towards Uptown to see actual new content, which may very well just be talk with no actual encounters. Pitt, Uptown, and Haven might not be anything, or it might be kind of an interesting flip where you're going to be the guy now who is the pit raider and the master, slave masters. Maybe Uptown is just straight up this, where you are walking around. Let's see. Pause now, pretend to read this. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read that. It's like getting bottle caps and stuff doesn't really matter. Could we possibly talk to... Maybe we have to convince people to turn against Asher.
Well, now a grinder made it out of the hole. That hasn't happened in a while. Well, I hope you have some money, newbie.
Let's see.
Sure
We can
thing,
start
newbie.
by repairing things, since we have a ridiculous amount of items.
Sure thing, newbie.
And then we might be able to consider selling some things if we see like spiked knuckles versus steel knuckles. I could get rid of this for like 9 weight. That's kinda it. Raider stuff, we can get rid of that. If we see it inside the inventory of a shopkeeper, there's a decent chance it's not that important. But yeah, that's not really gonna help us too much by selling that stuff. And we can buy stim packs, but we don't need stim packs at this point. Man, my stomach is growling like crazy. Buy a bunch of weapons. Bunch of bullets. Alright.
Yeah, whatever, newbie.
So Uptown isn't quite that. Alright, well at this point my stomach is making such a ruckus. I'm going to have to take a break and take care of that. And then we'll be right back. So I'm going to pause the video. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So the question here is, are these people still getting the disease? It seems like they kind of are. And are these slave masters, as they were, really much better off than than the slaves. Ironically, it's kind of harder to justify like a slavery system if it is blatantly obvious that with the skin it's just so green.
Don't give me that holier than thou look.
If there's a just blatantly obvious difference in how well the slave masters are living compared to the slaves, which would be really hard to do in this Fallout universe, although I imagine Asher is probably living pretty nicely.
If you're so damn smart,
Let's talk to this guy.
it's trouble, man. You don't want to know how I got the name.
His name is Trouble, and he doesn't want to talk to you. Okay. Yeah. That's why mostly in the real world, particularly as conveniences and technology became more prevalent, it became more and more important for the extremely rich, the exorbitantly, insanely rich, to hide how rich they are, either through actual like shady accounting and hiding resources and money, or through just the general like pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality that was literally a joke. It's impossible to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's the joke. And yet people have forgotten that that was a joke and take that up as an actual mentality in the United States in particular, that that anyone who is potentially a billionaire has any chance of losing all their money, or anyone who's potentially starting off with making $20,000 a year has any chance in their lifetime to become a billionaire, when it's honestly just not possible. That is why you would have this arena and pit system in the first place. It's not just a general concept to entertain Asher, it's to give some small bit of hope, false hope, to the slaves.
There you go.
Like, nobody will talk to me apparently at this point, but I feel like we probably will come back and talk to them. There's nothing particularly surprising here in this second tier of the building, although it is interesting once again to see some verticality in the map when there really has not been any verticality in the map up until this point.
Jackson, man. Don't forget it.
So again, I don't really feel like, I don't know if this wallpaper's new. I don't feel like this DLC was made by the standard Bethesda people, and as such, I kind of wonder if there is some possibility here where the story gets a little bit more complicated, and they do ask you to potentially, if you want to, have conversations with these pit raiders and convince them to overthrow Asher also. Guess we're looking for bobby pins. I don't really need ammunition. A bunch of scrap metal and things. I suppose there might be some reason. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read that. This is all just old stuff. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read that. Pause now if you want to read that. And inside the safe, it's not really anything worth taking. We definitely are at a point where it just does not really make any sense to potentially try and get up to 50,000 gold caps or gold versus that. Here we have custom art.
Well, look at this. One of the scabs earned his wings. Welcome to the grill. What? Assuming that what you...
Let's see.
If you walk out of here sober, I'm not doing my job.
We'll take that. And I don't think we need anything else.
Anytime you need a little pick-me-up, I'll be here.
Oh, such
Yep.
a sweet face.
This is just Paradise Falls again. Though, they've given you a slaver community. And you would have definitely a different reaction to this if you had chosen to play as a slaver in Paradise Falls. It would be a little rough to ask a brand new player to choose to be a slaver at the very beginning of the game. But yeah, I don't know how you... That looks like that might be new art too. I don't know how you convince anybody to ever be a slaver in the first place. This is new. Is this necessary to have a spinning ceiling fan? So as far as I can tell, there's just a few little things that makes this more of a city. And once you're out of being a slave. Now we are in the Pitt uptown. It's getting some generator sounds. If this was more of a location where we're going to fight some trogs again, I guess that might be something. Sunglasses and pencils. And a jet and beer. And then human or trog limbs placing the statue limbs. That's pretty creepy. So I wonder if there is just a level of brutality and grotesqueness on top of the standard just torturing people. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just more of the same, though, where people are we're gonna have a city here and people are gonna not really want to talk to me. We may just see a lot more pit raiders.
Hey, I'm glad you're on our side. Saw you earn your ticket uptown. Don't start thinking that makes you special. You're still just meat. You just got moved up to a higher grade of sausage is all. Hey, it's not pretty, but it's the truth. We're all just meat in the grinder out here. Today's hotshot is tomorrow's trog chow. Nothing to it but to be the best. And eat our fill before we're next on the plate. Work hard, and you might just be a grade A cut like me.
Looking for some...
So yeah, in a lot of ways, I assume this is... These are the house slaves equivalent, where
Looks like you don't mind getting
versus the field slaves, which would be the lower level.
if it isn't Asher's newest pet. He doesn't let many mongrels into his mansion.
I wonder
Him and his keen eyes must see something
if there would be
special
any
in you.
value,
So
though,
Lulu's going to keep her eyes on you
in
too.
fighting a bunch of named characters. Not for this game, though. If we were going to meet all these named characters and then all of a sudden they were going to be sub-bosses we had to fight and we had to hunt them down and kill them throughout a very large wasteland area, that idea might work, but that would have had to have really existed in the main game.
The Lord of the Pit knows all, and his eyes see promise where others see rubble. What does he see in you? A cure? A scourge? Or maybe nothing more than a plaything? Soon, Lulu will see what lies inside you. But first, perhaps Asher's pet needs to be fed.
Yes, I'll have some food.
Then here, delicious food for you. Eat and be good.
3 noodles being added there.
What the fuck are you smiling about? Hey, if it isn't the newest addition to our little family.
They're still
The
green,
jackpot now, whiz kid.
so they still have the
You're in
disease.
Ash's army. Now's when the hard work really starts. I hope so, for your sake. You screw up down in the mill, you just get a beating. It's harsh, but it heals. But if you screw up when raiding a caravan, you get gut shot and bleed out in the dirt. So you better be as tough as you think you are. But I do what I can to keep our mistakes from being too fatal. If you need to drop some rats, I'm here to help. Then say no more, friend. Can't share much, but they should do the trick. Use it in good health.
So it gives me rat away. And there's just maybe some vodka. We could be grabbing a bunch of vodka from Mississippi mud pies, but it's just not worth it. We've long since stopped seeing any like destroyed books or undestroyed books or skill point books, which that wouldn't make a lot of sense that it wouldn't be in the DLC.
You're so damn smart. How'd you end up here, huh?
I really question whether we will end up going on a raiding caravan. That would be kind of an interesting scenario, but it would then take you out of this whole area,
Smartest
or it would
asshole in the
be
pit.
some kind of scripted thing. Right, so have we looked at everything? Uptown, the mall. That way is down, so let's see what up is. In a funny way, this really does just feel like two
Aren't
separate
you a tough one?
cities.
Oh, look, another worker who thinks they can address their betters. I'm sure everyone's impressed that you killed a pig in the hole. Don't think that makes you an equal.
Yep. Multiple social classes here. This really is an allegory in slavery.
I'm sure you think so. The delusion of equality is part of what makes your kind so pitiful.
What is she shooting at? Just nothing. Over there, she's just practicing. A lot of times when they do these allegories, it's going to be so painfully on the nose anyways. You might as well just make it painfully on the nose. Yeah, might as well, in this DLC, have like green irradiated people with the disease be brightly glowing green and turned into slaves, or even take it to the furthest logical extension and just have it be white people enslaving black people, or vice versa. I mean, if you're not getting the message here and the allegory here, then yeah, probably wouldn't even get it if it literally was all black characters being enslaved by white people. So there's really not a lot of reasons to
We don't need another
dance
dirty
around
worker
it.
up here. Just because Asher lets you in doesn't mean we have to like it. Watch your stepping up now, or you might just take a tumble. Oh, you're definitely looking at a lot of risk up here. Watch out, or you'll get fed to the trucks. They just love eating trash.
You can see there's just a lot of very hostile people.
How's it going? Guess we've got another.
That they're all
soldier. Don't
somewhat
think you're
infected.
So special, kid. You're not the first to climb your way out of the mud.
It's funny how the fire physics in the back just paused. That's probably a mistake.
You'd be surprised how many of us worked our way up, even if we don't like to admit it. The rest are just toughs from the wasteland who decided to join the biggest gang around. Either way, watch your back around here. Nobody got to Uptown by playing nice.
So I was trying to toss it, but I guess I don't have a toss button. Like, is there really any moral dilemma here? We've seen a couple people that have treated us somewhat nice or warned us, but if the game wanted me to or let me just kill all these named characters right now, I don't think I'd really bat an eye about it. The problem here is slavery in general. Mona is such a morally reprehensible thing in the minds of most people that there's no real gray zone there.
Lord Asher, protect us all.
Lulu basically worships Asher. So we've got a door to the mill, which somehow the mill connects back to the steel yard, I think. Yeah. That's probably just another door that we couldn't have used before this point. Let's see. Just lockpick that so we can go that way. Meanwhile, I don't think there's another 100 ingots or anything. If there was, we would have found something towards that indication. So let's just go all the way up. We'll take this up later. Yeah. It's not even like a named weapon or anything here. So, yeah. I'm not particularly impressed with this layout. It could just be another attempt at some vertical level design, and sure, at some point in the future we might have to fight. Yeah, this just came back up here. We might have to just fight everybody in this area, and so some urban warfare, guerrilla warfare tactics in this type of level is an interesting twist or new way to do things, compared to the very open gameplay that the rest of the game has, where you're basically in complete open air shooting at people who are not hiding behind any cover at all. I would say I also don't really believe that this...
You got something to say, or you just here to stare at the freak?
She's supposed to be a ghoul?
Ghoul? Who you calling a ghoul? Get lost before I dump you in the river.
Yeah. They don't even know what ghouls are in this. Yeah, I don't think it fixes anything if they had done something
Aren't you a tough
like
one?
indentured servitude instead, or just like debt instead. It gets a little hard to make the direct equation of creating debt traps or heavily indebting people in the hopes that you can have them under your thumb forever. But might as well just stick for a video game narrative with the idea that slavery is bad and racism is bad. This is basically touching upon slavery without touching upon perhaps the edge cases of racism that help maintain slavery. Like, you always have a much better chance of maintaining a system of slavery by making the argument that the people you're enslaving are either not human at all or in some way otherwise inferior. And the easiest way to do that certainly is just good old-fashioned racism. Well, that's not the phrase to use when referencing racism, I suppose. It's funny you have this like water running sound effect. It's a little much. You're not getting radiation for being under the water. I half expect this to just be... Alright. Alright. Alright, we need to get a different weapon because this is not going to be fun. If we stick with this and getting all of these status effects and cripples, it's not going to be fun either. Gonna take a rat away. And then a weapon. The mauler. Tri-beam laser. Do we have enough to do this? 11 for the sidearm. 21. Let's do this perforator. In a lot of ways, these trogs have this odd fact that they're constantly getting status effects on them. Even with the perforator. Seems weird. I wouldn't be surprised if we are going to clear out this whole area and yeah, it feels like when you shoot things in vats, it makes a different sound effect. Odd. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I clear out this whole area and then there's some weird quest that specifically wanted me to come clear out this whole area. Nuka-Cola Quantums. I wouldn't be surprised if actually there's been several steps in quests that I've skipped over simply by just being very thorough and already just having the items that are needed or killing the requisite number of enemies in an area. Let's go ahead and determined ceremonies, quantities. And that just would unlock a lock for the safe. There we go, we just forced it open. Broke one bobby pin on it and then forced it open anyways. It is questionable maybe if you automatically will force open a lock, or you have a much higher chance of force opening a lock if you're fairly close to it being unlocked anyways. Is going back to Uptown. So very possibly this is it. Then you have all these tiny garden gnomes. Which I have to assume, once you pick up something, it's in your inventory. There's not really a way to put it down. Let's take this damaged garden gnome, for instance. And then see if we can drop it. While we're at it, we'll see if we're holding any other items of useless value. So drop that. Drop that. Drop that. Where's the damaged garden gnome? So internally it has some kind of metric that keeps its size the same, even though they make different damaged garden gnomes at different sizes. That's a little weird. You would think that it would just reset, not maintain that. It also opens the door to some fairly crazy people who would then feel the OCD need to collect all the damaged garden gnomes or all the items that are of different sizes. Alright. Now we've got 2 bodies here. I kind of just assume what's going to happen here is if we don't just straight up kill the raiders will become infected fully and turn into trogs. That's believable. There is kind of this silent Nosferatu style in which these guys stalk you. I don't know if that's particularly good or what you want, but it's not a terrible difference to have compared to just ghouls that kind of don't go anywhere. Can we get all the way up here? Yes, we can. There's a power fist just sitting around. Nuka-Cola. Take those. So I assume, unless the power fist is specifically the major item for doing all of this, there's probably a little bit more on this floor. Somebody making bathtub gin, I suppose, is the implication there. If Asher decides to like accelerate people being turned into trogs. Perhaps then there would be a way to see that he was a particularly bad guy. It would be easy in DLC to name a bunch of characters and then just immediately kill them off. Oh, there's a floor safe. Wonder if there was a floor safe in the previous area. Hat of the People. Interesting. Pre-war spring outfit. Chinese assault rifles. Pre-war hat. So this is clearly Chinese guy. I mean, boy, are they just infiltrated, really, too. There's just a ton of Chinese people with weapons ready to invade. Some of this pre-war stuff is fairly rare to find. Right. Let's go back down here. Check something out. In this one, is there a safe anywhere? No, it doesn't seem like it. It would be understandable. Geez, I wonder if this is supposed to be a reference to The Shining. It would be understandable that there would be Chinese people. What's not understandable is that there would be just vast amounts of Chinese weapons. Like, how could you smuggle so many Chinese assault rifles into the United States? What it probably implies is that after the bombs dropped, there was, I would say, at least a significant incursion, if not full-out occupation of the United States by the Chinese forces. Yeah, trying to take aim is pointless. Well, it seems like what happened there is we hit a gas pocket and blew ourselves up along with everyone else. Green plate, red plate, red plate, green plate, red plate, red, green plate, dinner plate. Just one of every plate. You have a skate that exists but isn't a collectible, which really highlights how a lot of these collectible trash items really should probably exist, but not actually be something you can pick up. Let's see. Empty cabinet. We could pick up sensor modules and cameras for Liberty Prime, but there's no reason to do that, because that's just a repeatable quest. For a second that looked like a trog, but that's just a imprint on the plaster on the wall, crumbling plaster. Vacuum cleaner, bathtub. What? So have we missed something here, or is this just all there is to it? That you could run around, you could find the hat of the people, you could kill a bunch of trogs. You can't actually fall down through that. And unless there's some unique item that we're missing. I'm picking up a lot of garbage. I have no room for it. Yeah, unless there was a secret panel or something else to consider. You went up there, and this takes us down to the first floor. There's just boarded off doorways. There was supposed to be some kind of quest around that. And I think this is the door we came in on. So we might as well leave via the door we found, just in case that takes us somewhere. It's just kind of nothing here. Alright. So we are here. Where is here? Kinda nowhere. I suspect that door there maybe leads to something of interest. We could get up there. It doesn't seem like it would be too hard to get up here. This somehow takes us to the Pitt underground and the power plant. I wonder if that's even a thing. In here it doesn't lead to anything. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if the Pitt underground is either an underground resistance or if it is just a fast travel location. I'm just using the VATS to verify what I suspect, which is that we probably talked in these brief conversations to everybody, and they are just wandering around.
Lord Asher wants a word with you. Good luck.
And we looked at this building. Or this cutout of a building. Then I assume this just leads back up here. Yes, it does. So I'm just gonna jump down here. Let's see. What we're not finding is any kind of like secret caches or anything. Almost feels like you could get under this building. But no. So it's just kind of a broken up area with some locks and some gates. But no real reason. And you've got more of these cars. They are trying to imply that, yes, there were a lot more electric railway cars and cars in general that could have been scrapped for more steel. There is basically nothing here. The generator sounds would be much more appreciated if they exploded on being shot. But I don't think that's the case at all. So I could see thinking of maybe a distraction sequence where you have to come and sniper and destroy all the lights. This is just irradiated water. So he's got himself a little moat happening here. Then you go through this metallic statue, which almost certainly is something that has been built now as a form of, I guess, entertainment. It's not even, you couldn't even really assume that it's designed to like scare the slaves, because the slaves wouldn't even be able to sleeve this. It's like a Wicker Man from this side, it looks like a human. They're made out of steel or tree, rope and tree. Like, clearly this is either steel rope or regular rope. And then you have a body in here. And so I think this is a Wicker Man reference, where they've put a human being in here and set it on fire. So maybe there is some actual, like, religious element to this that we're going to find out, where Asher really does believe himself to be like some sort of deity. We still don't really know why the Brotherhood of Steel came in and apparently killed a bunch of raiders and left room for Asher to be the new person in charge. I could only think that maybe Asher was providing steel to the Brotherhood of Steel that they desperately needed, and they got in bed with a very bad guy for that. In a lot of ways, this is going to feel like it's taking some of the ideas of Tenpenny Tower also.
Could be worse, pal.
Although Tenpenny Tower just touched upon the idea of elitism and classism, and not so much slavery. If anything, I think that's in part of the problem with all the characters in Fallout 3 in general, is that everything is so broken down. There are slavers in Paradise Falls that are just about slavery. There's the Republic of Dave that's all about just an insane self-worship. The mutants are just about brutality and killing people to procreate and make more of themselves. And that seems to be the only backstory. Whereas you could have taken several concepts or several vices and put it into one character, and that would have made a lot more sense. Right. So this does not strike me as a particularly large area. It is more steel in its construction, holding it up. But yeah, in a lot of ways this feels like the exact same models as Tenpenny Tower being reset and reused. Let's see, and I just imagine we're going in the elevator. These are just unnamed pit raiders. And there's an interesting question as far as, like, have we learned anything different? Would we, if given the opportunity, do the exact same thing and let trogs in to kill all these rich people, and potentially have just somebody replace Asher and be the new slave leader, slave master? You definitely, it is just killing somebody is going to be the short-term solution to a long-term problem that won't really last. We've got to find the right people to lead, and the right people to educate and perhaps re-educate people on the idea that slavery is wrong and bad, and the right people who are willing to stand up and say that, even if that poses a risk to their own comfort. There's a lot of people here. So it would be somewhat hard to just kill everybody. But I'm so overpowered it really wouldn't be a problem. Well, that is an unsatisfactory smash. Ding ding. A more modern version of this game would clearly have more physics around it, where your glass would actually break. And honestly, for Fallout, it really needs that. The general idea of glass breaking when you step on it, or glass breaking when you drop a bottle, would, while it would be a kind of pointless feature unless you integrate something more into it, as far as whether you can distract people with the glass breaking sound effect. It would just be a convenient way to bring the game back to feeling more realistic. Of course, what happens very often, and Last of Us is kind of a great example of this, is Last of Us, you can pick up bottles and throw them and distract enemies with them. And then instead of that just being something you can do, it becomes something you have to do. And it gets played out and overused. Yep. Yeah, I don't see any way I don't just end up running through this and killing everybody, or them all turning into trogs. Unless he says something really crazy in our conversation. Just something completely unexpected. Like he needs your help to cure the disease, or that he's actually a nice guy and he's been secretly working with the Brotherhood to get rid of all of the people under him who were actually psychopathic killers. That would be an easy way to go, certainly. Like, you talk to Asher, Asher turns out to be a good guy with the Brotherhood of Steel. He wants you to kill. He wants you to spy and secretly kill.
And there's been an increase in chatter between slaves.
Workers.
What?
Here's Asher, who very possibly is a dark-skinned African-American himself.
Helps with
It's hard to
morale.
tell.
Reminds them that they might earn their freedom someday.
Whatever we call them, they've been gathering makeshift weapons.
All right. Put your guards on alert. Tell them to be on the lookout for anyone loitering too long downtown. And keep a watch on Medea at all times. Anything big happens, it's bound to go through her.
So she seems to know
Very
everything.
important meeting with our new friend. So if anything big comes up, you use the intercom.
Yes, sir.
Okay, break's over.
Right. I'm hearing some turret sound effects, and it looks like there might be something back here and back there. Let's see. Well, these guys. Let's make a safety save. Turret control system hard. Safe at lock average. Pistol. Seems like nothing else. We are up to 47 bobby pins, which is great. So, in a funny way, there's definitely an argument that 2 Murray, 2 Scourge, 2 the Mill, the Cure, Alright, well, we'll have to just kill Asher. Asher's key, Asher's power armor, recon armor, helmet. Alright, so let's load that safety save. I guess we have to actually talk to Asher. So you have this whole security thing. Here. And we have this Sandra character who is apparently working on the cure, and you have a baby here, which we have not seen any babies in the game at all up until this point. So yeah, that's a surprise. That is a big surprise.
I can't really talk now. Isn't my husband waiting to see you?
So Sandra is Asher's husband. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read this. This is a lot of text. Pause now if you want to read this. Let's see. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read this. So, without actually reading, I suspect we may have a case here where if we want the cure, we're going to have to kidnap the baby. And while that may feel a little wonky, we got to do something here. You can't just leave it. Unless he's trying to make the cure and he's just
nice
doing...
work in the hole, new blood. Knew you couldn't be one of our normal workers.
He is
So that
African American
begs the
from the
question,
looks of it.
who are you? And what are you doing in my city?
I heard the Pitt was building an army. I'm here to join. It's complicated. How about we just say I'm new in town and looking for work? I'm the hero that's going to kill you and free the slaves. Stick with this one.
I understand. We've all got a past. And damn few of us have reason to be proud of it. That's all behind you now. In the Pit, you'll be part of a growing army, a thriving industry, and maybe even witness to a cure for radiation. But we aren't perfect, and sometimes the past comes back to haunt us. Tell me, do you know a man named Werner?
Speech. 100%. I met the man, but he seemed like trouble, so I steered clear. 100%. Wait, can you tell me more about what you're doing in the Pit? Let's see. Never heard of him. So we could do lies.
Ever since the city was scourged, we've done what everyone does. Whatever's necessary to survive. I know my city seems barbaric to you, but it's the only way we can carve out a home in this hellhole, and it's kept these people alive. But that's enough stalling for time. So do you know Werner?
Let's see. I mean, we got a speech check here that we could actually win. Let's just do this speech check. 54%.
Then you know he's not to be trusted. He escaped after a failed coup, and I believe he's working with the slaves to plan a revolt. You know the slaves, and you've met Werner, so you're in a prime position to put an end to him. Do that, and I'll make you a lieutenant in my army. That's what I wanted to hear. You've got a bright future ahead of you in the Pit, new blood. In fact, I'd like to let you in on a little secret and show you the amazing advance that'll secure our place in the wasteland. Now I think would be a good time for you to meet the cure for yourself. Let's take a trip back to the lab where Sandra can explain. Don't let me keep you. Don't let me keep you. Don't. Damn it, I'm on my way. Just head back and talk to Sandra. She'll explain all about the cure. Then you'll see
Okay.
why you have to put an end to Werner.
Let's talk to Sandra now.
Oh, Asher told me you might be coming here, but I'm afraid I was preoccupied. Little Marie here is an angel, but she can still be a handful. I'm Sandra. Asher set me up here to
It
work
kind
on
of sucks that
medical
you would have a
research, and Marie here is our daughter.
baby model and then not use it in the main game. Got a bad feeling this isn't just bring your daughter to work day.
Don't be silly. It's the best of both worlds. As a mother, I love that I can spend all day with my daughter. And as a scientist, it's great to work on something that will benefit the city.
Wait, you mean she has a natural and transferable immunity of some sort? Use that science. Kidnap the baby or leave without the baby.
Well, this is a nice surprise. Apparently you and Asher are the only other people who know anything about science in this place. Yes, it seems that our daughter was born with a naturally acquired immunity to any form of mutation. It's nothing short of a miracle, honestly.
I think the Brotherhood of Steel would
Trying
love
figure
that,
out
to
why.
look at that.
She may just hold the key to stopping the Pitt's trog problem. Hell, maybe other types of mutations too. Oh no, these tests are perfectly safe. In fact, between the crib and her uncanny health, she's probably the safest child in the world. Asher and I would never risk her health. And if that means it takes longer to develop a full cure, then, well, everyone else can wait.
I'm sorry, but the slaves don't have time to wait for a cure. I'm taking Marie. In a funny way, this is right up that allegory where many times when they were pushing for the elimination of slavery, there were often arguments that people were moving too fast and they just needed more time. But there never is going to be a perfect time to end something like slavery. And even in the Jim Crow era of separate but not really equal, that there were arguments of against integration, that people were moving too fast and they just needed more time, and that's constantly the obstructionist mandate, even if perhaps the person isn't intentionally being an obstructionist. Let's see. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. I think we kind of want to go down this route.
You're a dear, but things are well in hand here. If you really want to help, you should probably go deal with whatever had Asher rushing off in such a hurry. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to take care of one last test before Marie's nap time.
Okay. Baby Marie is napping peacefully in her crib, safely connected to various medical monitors and wrapped in protective swaddling. It looks like moving her would not go over well with her family. So is there anything else we can really do? Let's talk to her
I'm
again.
afraid I'm very busy, so why don't you go help Asher, okay?
So we take the cure, or do we take down the slaves? Kidnap the baby or leave, or leave without the baby. Well, they really don't leave you much of a choice.
You think you can get away with this? Every raider in this town will be after your head to bring her back.
Come to your senses, have you? You're a goddamn dead woman. Thought you could hide, huh?
Okay. Kidnapping as a choice. Cure research. Scientist outfit. Let's see. Let's look at the cure research. We already looked at all of this, right? Let's just pretend like we read all of this anyways, just in case. Yeah. Suppose one thing to think here would be just if the cure wasn't a baby, would we be upset at all about taking it? No, that was totally the plan. So I think that leaves us in a funny place. I think Maria will probably not just let Warner kill the baby in some effort to come on. There we go. Yep. Finger. In a funny way, I am the cure of this problem, in that I am just going to kill every bad person I run into. It's just going to be that simple. Let's see. Is there anything special on his desk? You can't, by the way, shoot these, can you? Well, you can shoot them. They just don't react to being shot. Okay, wardrobe. Wardrobe. Turret control system, losing some karma, like I care. Containing. It's not it, so it's not stretching either. Commission. It's not it. Sunglasses. We don't need XP, so we can just let it kill everything. We'll go ahead and just deactivate and unlock the safe. Maybe that'll save us something. Here you have a crib as just like a custom made thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's read all of those and see if there's something in these notes that matter.
Test 1, 2. Looks like this thing is on. Marie, if you're there, this is your father speaking. Ishmael Asher, sometimes called Lord of the Pit. Now I hope you're hearing this 10 years from now, sitting on my knees safe and sound. Right about now, I bet I'm looking pretty silly. things don't always work out the way we'd like. There are a lot of risks, including what your mother would do if she heard me talking like this. And I'm not about to risk leaving you alone without knowing where you came from. These tapes are for you, so you can know who your father really was.
So, Asher is the father of Marie, who's a slave.
Marie, the first thing you need to know is that I wasn't always the Lord of the Pit. Long before I was a king, I was a scholar and a soldier. In fact, I was in the Brotherhood of Steel. You've probably heard about them, but you may not have heard what we did to the city. The Scourge. When we came here, the Pit was just a breeding ground for trogs, cannibals, and worse. Commander had us torch the place and take what we could. The Pit had useful technology, but it was suicide to stay here. So when an explosion left me buried in the mill, my brothers were sure I was dead. I don't blame them for leaving. I probably would have. We thought nothing could live in the Pit. We were wrong.
So, we don't know if the Brotherhood of Steel was being led by lions or not, but there's a decent chance that he was involved in this Pit stuff. It would have made maybe a little bit more sense if Asher was the son of somebody who was a Brotherhood of Steel person. And seemingly he has chosen never to get back in contact with the Brotherhood of Steel for the cure or for assistance in any way.
Marie, you know those fights in the mill's arena? Well, its first fight was when I woke up to someone pulling me out from a pile of rubble. At first, I thought it was my brothers pulling me to safety. Instead, it was a scavenger trying to steal my armor. She didn't get it, but I learned she had a whole family of scavengers. They'd make raids into the city for gear from the mill, and that gave me an idea. This was the only working steel mill we'd ever seen. In a world of leftovers, it was a chance to build again, and that was worth any price. The scavengers saw me as a god, so along with my Brotherhood know-how, it was easy to set up the basics. We started to build a city.
So basically he's obsessed with the idea of rebuilding a city and hasn't really succeeded in doing that much in like 20 years, because Marie looks like she's at least 20 years old.
As word of a new settlement got out, the city started growing and fast. When raiders attacked, I had to kill the leader and recruit the rest. I had to. The city's disease meant we couldn't have children, so recruiting was the only way to grow. And as we grew, the mill needed more workers. And yes, that meant recruiting workers by force. I'm not proud of it, but it's the only way to keep the city supplied and armed. But it was always a temporary solution, until our best scientists found a way to cure the city's epidemic. Sandra and I worked on it day and night. And after one particularly late night of work, we were blessed with a cure. It's the cure inside you, Marie. Even now, we're doing everything we can to figure out how to share your gift with the city, while keeping you safe, of course. So by the time you're old enough to hear this, you'll already be a hero. Congratulations, Marie. You've already saved us all. I knew you would.
Oh, I just realized that he's talking to the baby, which, by the way, is the baby an item? Yes. Baby is an item. He's not talking to, I guess her name was Mabel or something. Two M-named characters. That's a mistake, certainly. I'm really only sticking to using this weapon because it has a lot of bullets and these guys are not particularly that strong.
Hey.
Alright. Anybody else? Yeah, anyways, like I was saying, I am the real cure here because my solution is your standard video game solution of shooting everybody who is considered a bad guy in the head and just eliminating people. Like, it is simplistic. Some, I think most would argue, childish deductive logic, but it actually works fairly well as a concept too. Like, some people, like these pit raiders, would probably not be well received or willing to give up being pit raiders and freeing the slaves and living peacefully amongst them. It's just nobody here. I was expecting more resistance. Maybe the distraction is happening right now and that's why there's not really any resistance here. And there's the damaged garden gnome, where the beer bottle should be somewhere around here too. Maybe it clipped through the floor, or did actually break. If it broke, though, yeah. I suppose in a more modern game you would probably also have in a more modern game, you would potentially have the AI of the characters picking up random things. Alright, well, as far as our quest goes, bring the baby to Medea. Yeah, Medea and Mabel, two unnamed characters. What I'm not seeing here is like there's Crenshaw. We probably should shoot him. There's, I think, nothing on him. So when the stranger attacks you, does that refill your action points? No.
Help me
This definitely does feel like you could have taken this quest in a further direction. And we're losing some Pitt slaves. Let's check out the Pitt underground. This is not specifically where we're supposed to go, but we can take this direction. I assume that this would have been the shortcut direction to some kind of other quest. I don't know though. Am I missing something here? It's just a door. Where's the sewer? It says Uptown Haven. That direction. And unless there was some kind of switch somewhere, which that is what I would expect, is that there would be a switch somewhere. How can there be something that requires a key and takes you to the Pit Underground, and then we have this other thing that's labeled the Pit Underground, and it doesn't have a door? Maybe that's something else. Just sit on this and see if that shows us something. Certainly it could be a case that activating a sink, opening a refrigerator could activate some secret panel. But the game has never really done that. Okay. Alright, well. It does feel like what you could do here is have the player actually die. And if they actually died, it could give you some kind of different ending, or take the baby back. I would have to say BioShock Infinite touches on this same idea a lot better. Take an auto axe and then become over encumbered, because in BioShock Infinite there is this religious love for the girl that you end up kidnapping or freeing, from whichever way you want to look at it. But yeah, and if there was kind of this religious worship of the cure, and the cure being this baby and people kind of knowing it's a baby. I think that would have made more sense. And as a game, had I walked into Uptown and been told immediately that the cure was a baby, and I had to walk all the way through Uptown, considering my actions, well, that would have been a different scenario, certainly. The surprise of it being a baby is something you want, yes, but that doesn't mean it has to be. Like, it has to be done right before you make the decision. I'm pretty much assuming that had I left the baby, I would have been given a quest to go clean out the abandoned apartments. Either that or that is just a separate thing you could have always done. I'm having to assume that the underground is nothing.
What was that? Hey!
They seem to be all coming from the mill. But let's just kill everybody. Maybe they're trying to create a scenario where, because all of these people are named and the slaves aren't named, you might care about these people a little bit more. Or maybe they're trying to create a scenario where they straight up are saying these people are named because of slavery. But every single one of them is a bad guy, according to the regulators. And I think every single one of them would be considered a bad guy. By the Brotherhood of Steel. Alright. Got more bad guys to kill, as far as I'm concerned. And it is, I suppose, very possible that yeah, we've got a fully auto axe, fully repaired auto axe. Yeah, it is totally possible that there's some more people somewhere. Much like Paradise Falls, you kind of need a countdown that just is going to say there's one more enemy in this area, one more slaver in this area, kill them to free all the slaves. Generators don't do anything. This weird halogen technology bulb that clearly is just an asset that they pre-bought doesn't do anything. Where is this? Did I get him or did I shoot? Shoot Duke in the back as he's running away. Think I may have accidentally shot this guy too. Oh well. Okay. Map-wise, local map wants us to go here instead of going and checking out the mill. Which, okay. We'll do it that way. The problem I have with this idea at most is that keeping and maintaining the steel mill running at the risk of people's lives is not acceptable. Like, at any point, Asher could have established himself in power for a much briefer amount of time and said, okay, here's the deal. We need to leave. Let's move this. Let's make a new settlement. Let's stop working this steel mill. People are getting hurt by the disease. It says specifically in their research that most people, had they just left the area, just been allowed to leave the area, would have healed. So much so, there is, I think, a question about whether or not you couldn't have just cycled people in and out. So Asher can pretend like he's not the bad guy all he wants, but he totally is. He's risking the health of other people for his dumb dream. He's enslaving people for his dumb dream. He's making an argument that the ends justify the mean when there really isn't even an ends to talk about or to speak of. He wants to, in a level of insanity, rebuild society on the back of slave labor. And that is not going to work, because even if it had worked and he had managed to rebuild society, I don't even know why I'm picking up fingers. It's not like I'm going to turn them in. He has effectively destroyed the morals of his society, and they're just going to have this blighted black spot on their foundation and their history, which is not out of line or dissimilar for what the United States' own history is. And arguably even now, with mass incarceration targeting minorities and slavery still being legal if you are incarcerated, there is a black spot on the United States, and it loses them the moral high ground in many cases. I don't know what I'm really looking for. There was Kai. So she's dead. So we did just lose a named slave, and in their efforts to liberate themselves, there will be, I guess, some casualties on both sides. Hmm. 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 Wow. Almost fell to my death there. Hmm. Let's go ahead and take some health stim packs. I think we have to go back up first. There's too many potential people around. Two people with sniper rifles shooting each other at point blank range. So effectively what I've done here is I've made myself the bad guy by killing all these people for the most part in the uprising here. So they can either think of me as a hero now and hate me later, or they can hate me now. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the slaves will be freed and I can tell them to leave. And as for Marie, they'll have to take her, I suppose, and hopefully not end up torturing her to get the cure. Asher is noticeably missing. So that is kind of surprising. Somebody's still working in the middle of this whole uprising. I wouldn't be surprised if Asher comes back and begs for his child. Do I have any particular moral qualms about them experimenting on the child? A little bit, but not much, really. There's a lot of desperate times call for desperate actions that I could see. But I think there is a certain point there that should be thought about more maybe than I am thinking about it. In that he is once again exploiting and just using people, even his own child. Alright. So the question you should check on the map is to go to Medea's quarters. Millie, I thought she died, but apparently there is two Millies, or the game glitched. You can see people are still working. Okay. And there's only about 3 quests. So this would be the second main story quest. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one more quest, or maybe we just straight up missed a main story quest just because I made the moral decision, which I did. Alright, let's talk to her. There was our other save.
Sounds to me like you've stirred up a bit of fuss with the raiders. Couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of murderers. But more importantly, I hear you've stolen the cure. Mind if I see it?
I don't feel right about kidnapping. She's going to be safe, right? Did you know the cure is actually a baby? Is there any question?
Of course I knew, but you don't see me blubbering about it. That baby is our only chance of a cure and freedom from this hellhole. But if it makes you feel better, when we're done, she'll be back with her parents and never needs to know any of this happened. So quit whining.
As long as the kid's alright, take her.
She'll be all right, just not with me. Asher's guards are always watching me. They'd find her right away. Werner sent me word that he's hiding out in the steel yard. He's got everything there to take care of the cure. Take it to him and he'll handle the rest. Now get going.
So I guess I'm forgetting something here in that maybe they are so sick that they need the cure to leave. I guess maybe that's the case. But it's kind of funny to even have a quest here because it seems like we would just be done. Find Warner. Which I guess Warner is uptown. So it's saying go back uptown. I don't know how Medea is going to be back with her parents. Also, I think it is definitely worth pointing out that Asher being able to have a kid and then subjecting everyone else around him to the disease so that in part they can't have kids is not really fair, or it's incredibly selfish, to say the least. I guess maybe they wanted you to just run back through here in case you managed to not kill everybody. But they just wanted to make sure you went through this door instead of the other one. Maybe the mill is, from this perspective, a little bit different. Interesting, you can hold the left trigger when you come out of vats. So we had seen this, and there's a gate here that's now open. Marco, Pit Slave, Hammer. Pit Slave, Pit Slave, Pit Slave, Pit Slave, Bone. I've got them all on the run. Yeah, I picked who I was gonna side with, so I'm not gonna shed a tear over it. Honestly, even if they did kill the baby, like, just run the numbers. A baby surviving in the wasteland by itself, or Pit Slave surviving in the wasteland by themselves. Who's more likely to survive? Because I'm potentially saving multiple lives from slavery. There's a lot of conversation happening here. Is this some kind of break room that we just never even saw? Kind of feels like it. Just an odd break room with some scripted conversations. And kind of a background area to reach one of these higher sections. don't know if it's really necessary that they designed this whole place so that you could have the higher ground and snipe people, but I think it works. It's not a bad design. So they're just all sitting here talking. And I think what has happened here, very possibly, is that their AI was only programmed to go to a certain point, and that was it. Like, they were programmed to run in certain directions and fight people, and once the people were all dead, their AI just kind of stops. Where are we looking, by the way, for? We need to go back to the abandoned area. Still have a lot of pit slaves still just being pit slaves, which it's not crazy or uncommon either. Let's see what happens if we do an emergency stop. Command ignored, override enabled. So it feels like at some point we may have been able to have done an emergency stop. Although I don't know if it was really necessary.
Boss is north. So, what have you heard?
Let's see. I'm from the outside of the pit. I'm here to free
From
slaves.
outside the pit? That's new. I heard there might be someone from far away showing up. Here's a little something that I found. Make good use of it.
Oh. Let's just kill the snitch, too, while we're at it. While we lose some karma on all of that. Right. Can't really stop anything. From the looks of it, there aren't any enemies around. That's another example, I think, too, where the game has decided that it is immoral to kill the person who is, for his own gain, hurting the freedom movement.
Could be worse. Hey! Oh, Captain! Oh, my!
For some reason, she was not aggroed. I guess maybe that means I could have had things in this footlocker this whole time and just left it. I don't think that there's anything over here. Yeah, this doesn't lead to anything. And I assume the baby didn't just get irradiated, because I went into such a highly irradiated area. Although I guess technically the baby would be irradiated, even though she seems to be immune to that. We've kind of liked Warner a little bit, but not enough that he too shouldn't die. Or Everett.
Too damn friendly for your own good.
I assume the idea here is that you needed to keep these guys alive Hmm. Everett, seemingly not a bad guy. Hmm. Well, that seems weird. Because I definitely would have put him on the turn. This is effectively a French Revolution here where we're just guillotining everybody. Anyone and everybody that in any way collaborated with the slavers. Just cleaning house completely. And that is probably the easiest way to solve an issue like this. Instead of, say, a civil war where both sides are constantly still upset. Oh, Warner's hideout is here. And there's, I assume, nobody else out here in the steel yard. We'll see some trogs, which the trogs have failed to be an interesting enough enemy, clearly.
Move along, please.
Okay. Sewer entrance to the pit underground requires key. And that seems to take you to the power plant, it says. Which just doesn't make sense because isn't this the power plant, or is this some other kind of plant? Supply depot or supply plant? Supply plant. So we haven't been to the power plant from the looks of it. Boy, would it be awful if you were still running around here looking for steel ingots. Alright. His hideout seems to be either in an area that was just boarded up before, or very, very high up. Let's see. Yep. Suppose there's a slight danger here that we'll get very high up and realize this hideout isn't actually this direction. Yeah, this door was boarded up before and now it's changed. And so I half expect Warner to betray us. And local map doesn't seem to imply that there's too much going on here.
Ah, you finally made it. I've got everything ready and there are plenty of tests to run. So hurry up and put the brat in the crib.
Baby's here and she's safe. How will this help the slaves? We knew Warner was kind of a bad guy when he shot first. Anyways.
It means that we can study Asher's bastard, and once we dig the cure out of it, make sure that we all get the treatment. But more importantly, it means we're ready for the last part of the plan. Letting the trogs overrun Uptown and wipe out the bosses. Leaving the slaves free and turning the bosses into trog food.
Let's see. This wasn't the deal, Warner. I'm having second thoughts about all this.
Oh, sure. He'll just march back to Asher and his venomous little wifey and say, "Sorry, I stole your firstborn. My mistake." You're in it this far. It's easier to follow through than it is to back out. See? You're stuck on this path, pal. Might as well see it through to the end. In fact, now comes the fun part. We wipe out all those bastards in Uptown.
I wiped out a lot of them already. Isn't the job already done?
You cocky bastard. Think you killed all of Asher's little psychos? No way. Not even close. Any given day, most of them are out on raids or trying to push further into the city. Now there's trouble, they'll be rushing back, guns blazing. No, the only way to put an end
believable.
to their kind is to destroy their home and salt the fucking earth. Give Uptown back to the Trogs.
Okay, how am I supposed to do that?
Get someone else to do it for you. And there's a whole city full of Trogs hungry to do the job. The only thing keeping them out of Uptown are those floodlights, and I know where you can shut those off. Shut off Uptown's lights.
So the generators and the
Trogs will sneak in and
floodlights
take care of the rest.
are going to play a role.
Sorry, doll, but I'll be busy setting everything up with the squirt here. But for you, I guess I can spare a few supplies.
So we
You
got
can
some
get
more
to the power
supplies.
plant from a manhole down in the steel yard. Near the train tracks, you can't miss it. Head down there, find the floodlight controls, and turn off Uptown's floodlights. I'll meet you back downtown. And here, take this. You'll want to stay hidden when the Trogs come. Now get moving.
Stealth boy. We gave the baby to him without actually... I assume we gave the baby to him. We could check the inventory items. No baby. I do want to look around a little bit, but it doesn't seem like there is too much here, which is not super surprising. To kind of walk into a place just to talk to the guy, he might as well have just been standing in the steel mill. Let's see. Activate crib. The crib is securely closed. Yeah, this whole idea of these electronic cribs would change a lot of things. He seems to have milk, so he's going to keep it alive for a while, at least. But honestly, if he kills the baby just to get the cure, or even fails to get the cure and kills the baby, I'm still not feeling particularly too bad about that as an idea. Because at the end of the day, it's very video game moral wise common to just kill the bad guys. And me shooting bad guys, me letting Trogs kill bad guys, and then letting the good guys, or the not so bad guys in this case, kill themselves because of their morally ambiguous plan, is fine with me. So if the pit ends with all the slaves dying from the disease, the Trogs taking over all of Pittsburgh, and the baby dying, and Asher dying, I certainly haven't been told enough good writing to care about any of that. We have like 80 fingers now. And a whole bunch of junk. Plenty of everything else. I do wonder if there was perhaps a storyline, talk your way through this quest where things would have been slightly different. But I feel like if I had chosen to go with Asher, maybe at some point I would have been in charge of Asher would have died and I would have taken over. Maybe I could have worked my way up the ranks. But certainly that is kind of the same argument that that people made during slavery times is that maybe somebody will, like, maybe I can be the good slave owner that doesn't beat their slaves, and maybe I could become a politician and slowly change the laws. But yeah, to compromise in such a way and live with injustice is going to eat your soul away, and one compromise will immediately lead to the other compromise. And it's better just to go full evil and just say, hey, let's just shoot these people in the head. And if these other people can't get it together and they die of the disease, this would be so easy right now for people to just start fleeing, but they can't probably flee because they have no resources at all. So that no solution there either. Anyways, I happened to look over and see that I've been going for over 3 hours. I guess that break in the middle threw me off. So that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.